Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks for the invitation from Aaron and also Singapore Computer Society. It is my pleasure to be the moderator today. Let me first briefly introduce myself. I'm Dave, and I'm coming from Hong Kong. As Aaron mentioned, we also have the similar EAA chapter in our Hong Kong Computer Society. And this is our 8th year. We just organized the annual forum last week. So I hope to see you guys this time. And we have very great panelists today. Let me first introduce themselves. Eric Lim, Principal Enterprise Architect, Architect and Solutions Delivery of GIC. UNESCO, Lead IT Consultant of CPF Board. And Li Gang, Senior Solution Architect of Manulife. Nelson Ng, Infrastructure Architect of Singapore Pools. So our topic today is to build an effective EAO, the Enterprise Architecture Office, in context of organizational transformation. So I noticed that many organizations have established their EAO to keep their IT and business both aligned. So EA is gaining attention, not only from the technological perspective, but also a methodology for addressing digital transformation. So especially in today's, we have a very complex business and technology landscape. However, how effective the EAO can do such job is not easy to determine and a bit controversial. So in this session, we have 4 panelists. Professional EA practitioners. They will be sharing their experiences with some considerations to ensure that EAO functions are effective and in addressing and satisfying various stakeholders. So let's get started by ice-breaking. How about you guys have a self-introduction for 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 minutes to be fine. So may I start from Eric? Eric Lim.
Hey, hello everybody. I'm Eric Lim. I'm an architect in GIC. In a few months' time, I'll be with GIC for 5 years. Okay, so what I'm doing in GIC is that I'm currently leading the architecture work group, okay, that drives the architecture practice and governance. At the same time, I'm also wearing the hat of a solution architect. And that's where I work with project teams in architecture design, advisory, and even solution evaluation. Okay, so yeah, so that's my intro.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. How about you, Eunice?
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Eunice Bo, honored to be part of the discussion today. So self-introduction, I started in a technical role as a DBA and then transit to vendor management and now and then software asset management. So in my current role, I have been in this current role for 3 years, strategy planning. So I'm part of the team. What we do is we facilitate the conversation with the C-suite, the IT management on technology direction and the technical standards, right, with the aim to align the strategy and the visions. And at the same time, we work with the SMEs, right, deliverable to have a blueprint that will reflect a coherent EA landscape. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, thank you, Eunice. And Li Gang?
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Li Gang. I have been with Manulife for more than 2 years, and I'm currently heading up the Manulife Singapore architecture office. So, like the others, I'm currently wearing multiple hats. I'm wearing enterprise architect hat as well as solution architecture hat, and helping the entire Manulife Singapore to look into the digital transformation and to envision the future, right, for Manulife. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Nelson.
Hello, yeah, similar to everybody, I'm wearing 2 hats. I'm an infra architect, which I look into the infrastructure roadmap of Singapore Pools. I'm part of the EA and policy team under Jin. At the same time, I'm also an EA, so I also sit in the AGC forum and also helps with the EA process within Singapore Pools. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So thanks for your introduction. So I will have a couple of questions to ask the panelists, but for those who joined today, you are feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A button at the Zoom. So I will pick some questions from the audience and ask the panelists afterwards. So let me start from the very beginning on the questions. Do you have your EAO set up in your organization? If yes, what is your EAO, the organization structure looks like? So maybe I start from Eric.
Okay, we don't really call it the EAO, but we call it the architecture work group in GIC. So structurally, our architecture work group comprises of various members across divisions within our within our technology group. I mean, we have members such as like infrastructure, security, data governance, so on and so forth. Okay, so yeah, so this is the team that I'm leading, and I think the key mandate of this work group actually is to do standardization and simplification. Yeah.
Thank you, Eunice.
Yeah, so for us, actually it's quite similar to what Eric described, the structure, the governance structure. So the core team is a small outfit supported by a small pool of SMEs and report to a deputy CEO. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Ligan?
In Manulife, we don't have a dedicated enterprise architecture office. However, we do have an architecture function where we have some SMEs, solution architects, data architects, as well as some SMEs in the business domain. Yeah.
Nelson?
Yeah, I think just now Jean has shared the slide. Okay, what we have an enterprise architecture office, which consists of EA as well as technical architects, which sit right in the middle. And we are collaborating with domain architect from application team and infrastructure team to create the solution out on the right. At the same time, we have a business architect, which role is to connect with the business SME to know their requirements. So we sit in the middle. We need to see end to end from the business perspective all the way to the nitty-gritty codes review and stuff like that to make sure that the solution we architect can fulfill the business strategy.
I see. So looks like everybody is wearing two hats, right? One is the enterprise architect, and the other is to be something like technical or infrastructure or solution architect. So it's a hard job to us. So I would like to know how do you deal with balancing both the enterprise architecture and also the solution architecture capabilities? So how do you deal with that? Maybe you guys could share some ideas. Maybe start from Eric. Okay,
so I mean, rightfully you say that we most of us actually put on two hats. So it's also a kind of like a balancing act, because one end we will have to do some form of governance and standardization, but on the other hand is that we will also need to help the team to solution their application, their systems. So I think maybe put it in the other way is that it's also a blessing, because we also know both sides. When we are working with the application team, we know what are the things that we should look out for. For instance, like, are there any reference architecture that we should adopt? Are there some certain technologies that we should align to? So are there certain platforms that we should use, and rather than bringing in other platforms? So in short, I think it is also a good thing, because we able to help the team to streamline the solution, able to design the solution such that it's able to fit into our landscape in a much better form. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Li Gang, I understand that you just start your sort of EA journey. So what do you think? Do you think it's a bit too busy for you, so you can't handle both, or it is as Eric said, it is a good thing actually you can know both sides?
Yeah, definitely. It's as a start, there will be a lot of challenges, because when you wear two hats, sometimes you may consider if there any kind of conflict of interest, right? When you come to the governance processes where you are still doing all this kind of solutioning for the different initiatives. But over a period of time, then we realize that this is not only a challenge, but also an opportunity, right? Because we do see the benefits. Even when I'm wearing an enterprise architect hat, I'm not purely looking at the business, but I'm more close to the ground. I know what's happening, what's the actual challenges when it comes to implementation of the solution part. And when I'm working as a solution architect, I do have the higher view, right? To have the overall business implication to see what kind of business value we can deliver and what other factors we should take into consideration. So I do agree with Eric, where over a long period of time, I do see in the long run, it can be beneficial.
Yeah. So Nelson, I think your organization is quite big, right? Because I understand that you can have infrastructure and technology and different areas. So for the enterprise architecture, so what are the differences, the major differences between those technology or business architecture, and what is the role of the EA in your organization?
Okay, so as you said, we wear two hats, right? So as an EA, we are looking at processes, we are looking at governance. We need to make sure there's check and balance in what is being done, whether from solutioning, and we want to make sure that the business requirement and the strategy is aligned, and so that all our solutions gel together holistically to deliver the outcome we need to support the business. But at the same time, I'm wearing two hats as well. So I'm a technical solution architect, and I'm actually creating or modifying a process to govern myself in certain course of work as a technical architect. But however, I see that as a pro instead of con. The rationale is that I do not just see processes from a bird's eye view and look down at all the processes. I'm actually on the ground. I work with people. I know their pain. I know what is challenging, what is achievable, what is not achievable. And from that, I'm able to articulate what is the best way moving forward from an EA perspective. And when we propose a process and governance, we just don't process something that check and balance. We process something that has check and balance, and it works within our organization culture. So I see it as a very plus point to be in both worlds at the same time.
Yeah, cool. So it's a good balance in your organization. So Eunice, do you have any idea about the balancing these two roles?
Yeah, actually, I think we are all having the same journey. So it's either filling the void or closing the gaps. Yeah, between the IT strategy and what's on the ground level, what the technical people are actually doing, like what Nelson said at the ground level. So yeah, it's basically closing the gaps. And yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, in our last event in Hong Kong, we also invited the Hong Kong Jockey Club. I think it's very similar to your Singapore pools. I think both are those charity and gambling. And they also mentioned about they have a very distinct EA function in their organization. Actually, if they are big enough, I mean, have enough resources, they have a very strict EA team that only look after EA. That is very beneficial to the organization because they can have more focus on what they are doing, especially to avoid some conflict of interest that Li Gang mentioned. So this is good, but I think in most organizations, especially also in Hong Kong, we are wearing two hats, very similar to what you guys are doing. So, okay. Regarding the digital transformation, I think most organizations are undergoing a similar journey. So EAO is very essential in the digital transformation. What do you think about this statement? Do you think the EA actually helping the digital transformation initiative and playing a very critical role or not? So can you share with us? Eric, how about your organization?
Okay, I think the EAO does play a very important role in digital transformation. Okay, why I say that is because there needs to be a central body in the organization that has an overview of the architectural systems. And also, I think the other thing is also we may need to figure how can we standardize and simplify the projects that are part of the digital transformation. Okay, so why so is because we want to improve our operations and potentially also to optimize the costs at the end of the digital transformation. Okay, so I think the other part is that the EAO also serves as a central body of knowledge for teams to quickly gather information. I mean internally I always like a joke. It's like I always tend to be like the concierge within GIC to our project teams, because they will often get questions like, hey, where can I find projects that have been using this technology? Do we have certain reference architecture, say for instance like on data marts? Or do we, what platform should I use when I'm doing message queue? I think it's a good thing that the teams do approach us to gather such information rather than they just do it on their own. And then at the end of the whole digital transformation, for all we know is that we'll be in a state that we were worse off than before. So I think it's important then because we need to make sure that there's, again, just to summarize, standardization and simplification, and importantly, that everybody moves in the same direction.
Yeah, especially when we are dealing with so many digital transformation projects at the same time. And those projects are usually in a very quick and agile or small scales and very silos. So we could see that the EA may be a good chance to take over on some guidelines, as you said, the standards, so that all the projects are aligned, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So Li Gang, I know that the insurance, the market is quite competitive. So I believe the digital transformation should be happening very quickly in your organization. So do you think that the EA helps in this matter?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's also a journey for all the organizations to realize the value of the EA. So that's why we went through the journey. So in the past, we had no so-called architecture function. Well, when we set up the architecture function, then once we have a very solid foundation, we start to step into the EA. I also agree with Eric that EA is kind of critical and essential for the whole digital transformation journey. Because if you look at the digital transformation, majority of the organizations start to shift of cultures, change the way people work. And then, as you mentioned, there will be more agile works and agile methodology. And then we want to give the autonomy to the developers and the engineers to encourage them for more innovation. But having said that, this is kind of bottom-up approach, right? We want to give more flexibility to the ground. However, we have to make sure everybody is aligned to work towards a common business objective. Yeah, I believe in that case, EA giving a very good kind of guidance to all the project teams to make sure we will get what we were expecting. Yeah, especially in terms of the business values.
Yeah, you give a very good point and keywords to me, the innovation and also the business value. So the innovation should be running very fast, maybe due to the post-COVID or during the COVID. And especially all of us are working from home and undergoing digital way and boost up very faster. And I believe the digital transformation should be running even quickly than before. So Nelson, how about your organization? Are you running some digital projects and how the EA helps?
Oh yeah, actually we are running EA transformation. So we are running this transformation. So we are changing the way we work. Okay, in this transformation, what we did is that we want architect not just to be a rubber stamp. We want them to be involved in all the architecture solutioning. We want to know the rationale behind what's the decision, what's the motivation of that particular project, what is the strategy, is this aligned with the organization? This we need to know, and before the project can even start, we want to know all this. We want to make sure that this information is accessible to all within the architect team and brought forward, agree on before we move on. And to help us, the architect team will have a domain architect, which we also try to hands off more architecture responsibility to them to collaborate and also to level them up so that they know and ultimately drive EA as a culture within Singapore Pools. So, and with the business stakeholder, we are continuously engaging them. We are engaging them more to make sure that we are aligned. We don't want a gap whereby the business run in certain direction, whereas the IT run in different direction. So we are doing this currently to more or less collaborate with from business all the way to IT to get the result that we want. So we have embarked on this journey, and we are continue on this journey. And as Jean mentioned, the ultimate goal is to drive EA as a culture within the organization. Yeah.
The cultural change is not easy because it involves a lot of not only the technology and infrastructure, but also the most important, the people, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Are you undergoing some similar digital transformation journey now in your CPF board?
Yes, definitely, right? Because like what one of the speakers said earlier, right? Our PM, he's the driver behind the digitalization, right? So of course the challenges are there. So with EAO, actually it can increase the facilitation as what all the panelists have mentioned. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, cool. So I think the not only the digital transformation, but there's a lot of buzzwords in the digital world, like the AI, big data, IoT, blockchain, something like that. So I think that from the management perspective, maybe the CXO, they may think those words are very sexy, and they may think the architecture teams should take over those technologies, maybe, or they may think that the EA actually should be driving those technologies. So what do you think? Those technologies and also from the EAO. So how do you deal with those emerging technologies? Eric, what is your view?
Okay. So I think we do look out for emerging technology in GIC. I mean, let's say AI, machine learning, stuff like this. And as a matter of fact, we already have implemented quite a number of it. But I think more and more, there will be more of such technology that we'll be bringing. But I think importantly is that what are the positioning and the value of bringing this? I mean, this should not just be a shiny tool that we bring in and then we, in the long run, it becomes a white elephant. Yeah. So I think it's importantly that we need to find out why are we using it, and what is the cost, and what's the long-term value that you will bring to the organization. So I think it's whether is it a emerging tool or is it any tools. I think we have to apply the same set of principles and figure how would it able to bring the value. On top of that, I think the other part is that how would it play in our landscape? How would it integrate with other systems within our organization? I think we do not want to bring in a tool that we have to do a lot of plumbing work, a lot of integration work just to get it work. And at the end of it, we actually spend more than what we need to do.
Okay, yeah, cool. No, actually not the technology driving the business, but business use the technology, right? Yeah, so I understand that Li Gang from insurance industries, you guys should use a lot of AI, those technologies. So what do you think the EA actually helps in implementing those sexy technologies?
Okay, so in my view, I believe technology and the tools itself evolve very fast over time. And I think there are two sides. On one hand, we are looking at the business impact, right? What kind of value those tools or emerging technologies can bring to the business, right? So we always assess from the business perspective when I'm wearing the EA hat, right? So definitely that's the primary consideration, not only what to bring in, but also see when and how do we bring in those technologies. That's just on one hand. But however, on the other hand, we still have to be very technical, right? To have a very close eye on those new or emerging technologies, because in the recent years, I believe a lot of technology is interruptive, even to the business model itself. So today, when we talk about technology, it's no longer technology itself. There's always a business implication. Sometimes even it's interruptive to the entire business model. So that's why we also have a very close eye on the new or emerging technologies and see what's the impact to the business or the industry as well.
Okay, in our forum, we always debate between whether EA is business functions or technical functions. So
Yeah.
there's no answer after 8-year debate even. But I think the most important you guys bring in is to bring in the business value to the organization. We understand the business strategy. So these are the most important points from the EA guys. So let's change the other topic. So I understand that you guys are undergoing some digital or the EA transformation. I believe that you must having some challenging things that you want to share with us. So I let me share myself. I'm also an enterprise architect in a non-profit organization in Hong Kong. So we always joke, and shall we not to us, name ourselves as EA, because when I give the name card to somebody, enterprise architect, they will think about, are you a technical guy or are you a business guy that I talk to you? Shall I talk to you in the business acumen or IT? so what do you think, Nelson? Do you have any very most challenging things in your transformation journey? Can you share some with us?
Yeah, okay. To highlight, I think there's 3 main points we need to take back for EA transformation: people, process, technology. Technology, you can buy. Okay, processes you can model and change and enhance for a thing, but always the biggest challenge is people. So I've been blessed to be in a few organizations where they are doing transformation throughout my career, and the thing I see is that the people are resistant to change because they are used to the certain way of working, and they're comfortable with it. And you need to work with them. You need to journey with them to walk the walk, so that people will be aligned to you and go through this journey now. People is the cornerstone of the change. So you make sure that your people goes with you. I think your transformation journey will be a success.
Cool. Yeah. Eunice, do you have some challenges want to share with us?
I think it's along the same line, people. So it's about communication. Yeah. And then, we have so many domain experts, right? So how to put them all together and sing the same tune and align to the strategy. That is a challenge, the biggest challenge. And also, of course, to fulfill the strategy or the mission of the company together. Yeah, with IT as a driver. Yeah.
So do you think the EA should speak in a business way so that they can communicate well with the management people?
Actually, it depends on who you are talking to. Yeah, because we all come in with our own set of perception, mindset, and lingo. So you got to be able to change very easily between switching, and then at the end of the day get something done.
You also point out some EA characteristics. We need to speak to the right people with the right language.
Yeah.
So Eric, what do you have any challenge want to share?
I think it's pretty similar. I put it in very simple word. It's change management. Yeah. So I think like what Nelson mentioned, I think we also do face resistance from teams. For instance, like if we want to push standardize on certain things, then they'll ask why. Why do we need to do that? So I think it's rather than us sitting on the ivory tower, I think it's important for us to have open ears. Open our ears to listen to their concerns and feedback. And also, having open conversation with them to, see how can we address their concerns, and maybe hopefully able to convince them. And I think back in GIC, I think we also have this thing we call it architecture review, where we will actually, go through the projects with the team. So I think we also use this platform to, educate the team, why certain things have to be done in certain ways. Hopefully that is also a way of change management. And then with that, right, we don't use this architecture review as a platform to, discipline them. Hey, you are not doing this way. I need to bring this up to the management. No. I think it's more to explain to them how can they improve. So with that, right, hopefully they're able to do better in their future projects. Yeah.
Okay, Li Gang?
yeah, the most challenging point I can see as of today is to justify the EA value to the business, right? So after all, EA is not IT architecture. It's beyond IT department itself. So I think it's, normally across one organization, there are multiple stakeholders, right? Different departments. So how do you realize the value or justify the value of the EA through multiple initiatives will be a key to the success of the EA. So that's the most challenging point I have encountered so far.
Okay, so some comments from the audience. Annie said that she believes EA is a multidisciplinary, embracing and balancing the risk and trade-off of quality, data security, safety, compliances, and business and also the business mission outcomes and goals. So yeah, I think you make a very good summary on what we are talking. Yeah, thank you, Annie. And yeah, for the audience, welcome for any questions, just put on the Q&A. Yeah, I'm very pleased to ask all the panelists. So yeah, we are talking about the digital transformation. We must talk about agile. So because you know the agile methodology and also the agile, what we call the agile IT architecture recently is very hot in the industry, especially when we are talking about product development. We have product owner, we have Scrum team to do those agile developments. So do you have such a Scrum team or such an agile methodology in your organization? How do you deal with the agile team and the EA team, because they are doing very different things? EA is to govern the project, govern the architecture for the organization, but the agile team is actually developing their product. They only focus on their product. They don't care about your EA, what is talking about. So so it's a bit of conflict because they are moving very fast. They are developing their product in 2 to 3 months, but EA is asking them to running a bit slowly, thinking more deeply in the organization context. So yeah, Nelson, do you think, what do you think about this?
Okay, that's very interesting. So I actually thought of this agile approach. I understand the rationale they have and why it's so relevant in the current environment. But at the same time, it's really in conflict with what EA wants to do. So I actually don't have an answer. But what I want to say is that every organization need to look at what is their motivation. When they want to do agile, what do they want to achieve? And you need to look at the process, let's say at the EA level. How can the process support the agile process without slowing them down, but yet have the check and balance that is required? So there's also a trade-off. There's a trade-off between quality and speed. So this is leveraging that needs to be done within the organization. What are they willing to do for agile, and what are they willing to take away in order to move fast? So I see it as a part of the transformation journey for any organization looking to adopt agile within the organization.
I see. So Li Gang, are you having the similar issues in your organization?
I do have a different view around this point, right? Because my view is that EA is not actually slowing down the product development. Instead, it's helping the product development to go faster, right? Because as an EA function, so we do work with the squads in different channels. One channel is to work with the product owners, right, to understand their intention, the business objective, so that we can speak to those product owners upfront to see if it's the right move you want to make, right? So that is as a business space. In the technology space, when we work with the engineers, we can share a lot of experience, right? Just like Eric mentioned, right? We are kind of a concierge. We know all the technologies. We know all these architecture patterns, design patterns. Sometimes we can give a lot of help so that they can go certain shortcuts, right? To get things done even faster in the right direction. So sometimes moving to the right direction is more important than moving fast. So that's why I would say I don't see major so-called conflict, right? But I would say EA do delivers value, at least at the squad level.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, good view. Eric?
I do align with what Li Kang has mentioned. Because when Agile moves, right, they move very fast. They need to move very fast. And I think because in they need to deliver the outcome, the functions pretty fast. So I think with EA, we're also able to advise them, say like, okay, rather than you go and reinvent the wheel, there are certain things that we already have in-house. And why don't you take advantage of them? I mean, say for instance, like technology, say for instance, like data. I mean, quite often time is that when they embark on a new project, they will always think about, let's create new sets of data. But how about, reusing our existing data? Yeah. So it is totally aligned with what Li Kang has mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, you make a good point. So the digital projects may be running too fast and they forget about a lot of things like the security, like the governance, like the data integration and the legacy system, so many things. So yeah, Eunice, what do you think?
I think I agree with Eric lah, and it depends on at the end of the day, what do you want to what's your motivation? Yeah, correct. Instead of trying to make everything perfect, yeah, it's not possible. Yes.
Yeah, we in Agile we have a concept on the minimal viable product. That Paul just mentioned that is a minimal valuable product, right? So I think we also have some similar discussion in our EA forum. We talk about the minimal viable product. We also talk about minimal viable architecture. We call the MEA. It's not a new term, but actually the concept is to make sure that every product we deliver should meet the minimal architectural requirements. So especially on those integration, security, and also the infrastructure and those technical stuffs. And at least we need to align because the digital projects are creating a lot of digital islands, and most of the digital projects are actually outsourcing to the vendors or even using some SaaS service, the software as a service. So those SaaS service, to me, I think the EA should look carefully on those SaaS service because they could be the next unicorn. But if they become the next unicorn, they will charge you very expensive. But they also maybe they sometimes they can't run anymore on their business. They close down. So a high risk item that the EA may need to look into also. So yeah, that's something I would like to share. So we all know that the right people, the streamlined process, and the technology, as Nelson mentioned, these are all essential to digital transformation. So my final question is about the, do you think how the EAO can put these all together so that we can facilitate a very quick decision-making process? Any idea on how the EAO play that role? I mean, or EAO, should the EAO play that role? So Eric, what do you think?
I think it still comes back to like what I mentioned earlier. Like we are like the central body of knowledge, where because we do engage with many teams across multiple domains. We work with business, we work with security guys, we work with infra team, we work with application team. Yeah. So I think and quite often time is that why teams actually approach us is because they know that we do work with many teams. And that's why we are quite aware of what's happening in our organization. Say for instance, like certain new projects that spring up. Hey, do you know about it? Yeah, we are aware of it. And do you know certain technologies that we're bringing in? Yeah, we are aware of it. So then with that knowledge, we are able to advise the team better because for instance, like there are new projects that's coming up, then we can actually tell them that, hey, there's another project that's also using similar things, similar platforms, similar set of data. So why don't we consider to, work with them and collaborate with them and see, so hopefully that you're able to simplify the implementation of the system. Yeah.
Okay. Nelson, what's your view?
Yeah, I think similar to Eric, I'm also like pigeonholed within my company. So before they want to embark on initiative, they come and run through me and say, hey, I want to do this business project. What do you see? So if I see a pitfall, I see that, hey, you're going to have resistance from this tower and you're not going to meet the security measure required, or your budget is way too low to make much of a difference. At least that, give them some advisory so that they know where they want to go. So we are helping some project and business to be able to jump through the loop faster. They don't hit the wall all the time. And they know because we talk to everybody, we have a bird's eye view on everything. So I believe that is the role we are playing, and that's the role we should continue to play to more like help the organization move faster and better. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Nigan or Eunice, do you have any?
Yeah, so similar to what Jean said earlier, is act as a single source of truth. Yeah, for decision making. Yeah, it's simply said, yeah.
I think it's also true. Yeah, a good keywords that you mentioned. Okay, Nigan.
Yeah, my view is it's all about the people, right? It's the people who bring the technologies, the people who build up the processes, right? So I think as the EAO, more importantly, actually we are more focusing on the people itself. We bring in the right people, and we want to communicate with the people and bridge all these connections. And then we also want to train people up, bring people up to speed. So because the people is the ultimate asset of the company to drive us forward.
Yeah, cool. So I think that's all the questions I would like to ask. But before we end this panel discussion, I would like to make it forwarding. I mean, we try to think about the future now. How do you see the future involvement of EA or the EAO in the next 3 to 5 years? Maybe we start from Eric.
Okay, the future of EAO in the next 3 to 5 years. I think, okay, first thing, we are in the current situation of COVID and its impact on many businesses. I think one thing we do see is that more organizations are becoming more cost conscious. So GIC is no different. So I think how EAO will be more relevant and will evolve will be that we'll be paying more attention to how on cost in projects and how can we improve operational costs such that, for instance, like we work with project teams. Now, currently we're already working with project teams to identify opportunity to optimize our costs further, such as like server consolidation, platform consolidation, application consolidation. How can we reduce our data storage costs? How can we take advantage of cloud servers technology in certain scenarios? So these are all this, we already been working with teams, and I believe that this will still go on and ongoing for the next few years.
Okay, thank you. Nelson?
Okay, so I see more traction for EAO Office the last few years, and COVID really brings this up. So a lot of businesses are actually also doing EA transformation, not just to enhance their business, but actually to survive. You look at the way we work, now we work from home. So there's a lot of changes. So I believe with the spotlight on the EAO, there will be more traction, and I see more usage of EA Office for the near to medium term until they normalize to see how they stand against the traditional technical architecture.
Yeah. Nigang?
I can see there are two tracks. Definitely one is from the business perspective, and Manulife Singapore has a very ambitious business plan. I think the EAO will play a very critical role to help the business, right? Even lead the business to move forward. And on another track, and the innovation or this agility requires the EAO to have the more close connection or even support the engineering groups, right, to deliver all the different initiatives to support the business. Yeah, that's the two tracks I can see in the next few years.
Yeah, cool. Eunice?
Okay. I think the challenges will always be there, right? All the moving parts and pieces, and technology changes very quickly. So I think bottom line is it's very important to build multi-dimensional skill sets Yeah, and I think there's a research that say that 50% of what you do now, the jobs will not exist in the next X number of years. Yeah, so in order to move with the times, I think, and to understand what the EAO does, you really need to have like what the panelists said earlier, right? The body of knowledge, it needs to keep on building and evolving. Yeah, or else you'll be outdated, right? Like what every say at every tower.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the challenge.
Yeah, I do agree with Eunice, and both the technology and also the EA are evolving. In the past, we rely a lot on the TOGAF framework. I believe most of you heard about the EA, the most famous one. And most of the organizations think that the TOGAF is a good way to follow, but it is too heavy. And especially for those SMEs or smaller organization, if you are a multinational organization having 10,000 IT people, maybe it's good for you. But if you have in Hong Kong, 90% of the organization is actually having less than 100 IT people in their organization. So you can think about actually not too much organization having so many IT people. So how do you spend those resources in the EAO, which is very we need to show our value to the management, and especially I always heard from our EA friends. They always ask by their management, what are your deliverables? What are actually you are delivering the value? How do we make ourselves to be transparent to show our value? That's the challenges the EA, especially the EAO as the organization, we need to deliver in the digital transformation journey. Especially, they may ask, what is your role and what is your deliverable? So we need to make sure that we are changing and evolving together with the journey, together with the strategy, as well as delivering what they are expecting. Not only the traditional TOGAF deliverables with the diagrams, with those stuffs. Those stuff are very important, but what they are looking for may not be that one. So yeah, so that's what I want to share, and what I want to conclude today. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your the panelists and also the audience involvement in this panel discussion. We have a very good discussion today. So I will pass to Aaron. We will end this panel.